Welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. We are seeing the gains for Bitcoin accelerating in this session right now, well above that $41,000 handle. This comes amid reports that Binance, one of the world's largest crypto exchanges, will not be blocking accounts of Russian users despite calls to do so. Ukrainian Vice Prime Minister tweeting yesterday, I'm asking all major crypto exchanges to block addresses of Russian users. It is crucial to freeze not only the addresses linked to Russian and Belarusian politicians, but also to sabotage ordinary users. Let's bring in Yahoo Finance's David Hollerith, who's tracking the price action for us today. And David, I feel like it was just Friday we were talking about Bitcoin moving in tandem with equities, but today we're seeing a bit of a divergence.
Yeah, Kiko, I guess we have to sort of pay attention to the intraday performance to see what happens. Sometimes we'll see instances where cryptocurrency will lead the equities markets. So that could be something that's going on here. It's kind of tough to discern sort of given all the developments around the Ukrainian conflict and how that seems to be playing into the price right now. It's sort of tough to decipher what's happening. But, I think we'll probably see more of a lead. I've actually spoken to a number of analysts, and they've had a very mixed reception as to sort of what the price performance for cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, could be this week. Obviously, there's a lot of geopolitical uncertainty. And, I think the thing that shouldn't be forgotten is that, a lot of investors are still thinking about the Federal Reserve and other central banks and whether or not they will actually hike rates this month and as of next week. And obviously, what happens with economic sanctions against Russia will play into that. So it's a little bit of it's a matrix we're looking at right now, and sort of a lot of news reports coming out that are, that kind of diverge about what the scenario could be. So it's very choppy, we'll say. But it is sort of interesting. Before the invasion happened about a week ago, the Bitcoin price was actually it was down to where it currently is by about 2%. So in terms of volatility, it has been relatively flat. Now we're seeing a little bit of a rise over the $40,000 mark, which is sort of a psychological touchstone for Bitcoin. But will really be interesting to see. An analyst I spoke to said that the range sort of varies from $37,000 to $43,000 in terms of what they're expecting. So again, that's just one analyst's opinion, but it's a very wide range, and we're just sort of watching it play out right now, paying attention to the geopolitical developments.
David, well, what about this thinking that the sanctions could actually accelerate adoption, essentially more and more users turning to crypto, Bitcoin, to try and evade some of those restrictions that are now in place?
Yeah, there's a lot of opinions about this right now, Akiko, and it still remains to be seen because we've never seen cryptocurrency sort of we've never seen economic sanctions run into sort of the crypto sector this much. But that being said, U.S. regulators have placed sanctions on cryptocurrency exchanges in the past that have been deemed illicit or to have illicit activity. So to actually put some sort of framework like this into place is actually very possible. Now, the question is that whether setting sanctions on these large centralized exchanges will actually change how commerce can work in crypto, given that there's decentralized finance, which obviously it has a lot of, all of the applications are essentially, permissionless is what they say, meaning that there isn't necessarily a entity who's going to pick up the phone and answer when a regulator calls. So, there's a lot of questions that are sort of still out there. But I think there is a point to be made about how there's definitely a lot of stories, and I'm getting anecdotally on both sides of this conflict about how cryptocurrency is being used to, help either side. So it's very wide ranging right now. But I think that one thing that we should try and remember is that Russia is a very large world power, And the idea that moving to using cryptocurrencies immediately to sort of circumvent U.S. sanctions, I think there's no question that that could happen, and it will happen. But how much that will actually play a role in terms of daily commerce and payments, I think it originally, when I've sort of heard those announcements, was slightly overblown.
Yeah, and I guess the question is also what the U.S. can do to circumvent some of those transactions if, in fact, it does move in that direction. David, I know you'll keep a close watch on that. Thanks so much for bringing us that story.